something.
Well, here's where I'll help you with this, because this helped me a lot.
Okay.
Not only is the church a business, but I think there's absolutely nothing wrong with that, because it's crazy how, like, I'll see pastors right now. I used to think this way. I'm like, man, why does a pastor need like a private jet? Why does a pastor need like a nice car?
Yeah.
But what's funny is that if somebody goes out, right? If somebody's a pedophile and has a nice car or goes to the casino, nobody cares. All of a sudden, the man of God, okay, who's leading people to live a better life, has a nice car.
Nah, don't try it. You can't feed me lies, won't buy it. Question everything.
What's up, guys? Welcome to Winners Only, where we talk to people who are winning at life, business, relationships, whatever the case may be. Today we have on, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, what's going on, guys? My name is Michael Ley. Mike Drop 101 is the IG handle, and excited to be on. Thanks for having me.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you for so much. Kind of unexpected. We don't know each other, and this is kind of, honestly, some of my favorite podcasts are podcasts where I don't know the other person.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what to expect. Yeah. I don't know you, you don't know me, and we'll just see what happens.
We're going to get into it.
Yeah. So I guess how I met you. So we just met today, introduced through Kate.
Yep.
I'm actually going to be on her podcast on Friday, so I'm looking forward to that.
There you go.
And yeah, man, like anything you want to dive into, like you want to go full backstory or you want to go to what you're doing now, because you're crushing it in social media.
Right.
You just started. You're 9 months in.
Yeah.
Like, because I feel like I could learn a lot from you.
Yeah.
And truthfully, I always use these podcasts, as little mentor sessions. Like anything that I want to learn, I'm going to ask you, because it seems like I have a lot to learn.
And vice versa.
I'm so new to business.
Yeah.
And I'm just learning, man.
Yeah.
But
So I guess maybe you want me to start with like how we got here.
Yeah.
Or
let's do that.
So I mean, my kind of backstory is it depends on which direction you want to do.
Mike, a little closer.
Okay.
Sorry.
You know how you basically can get your story to be.
Yeah.
You know, you tell your story differently, kind of depending on who you talk to. It's still the same thing. But,
yeah.
So I started off. So I graduated college, and I had a friend of mine who was doing this like door-to-door gig, and I was like, all right, like you seem like you're doing well. I'll hop in. So I started knocking doors for this like home improvement company, and we did that. So I started off knocking doors. I started in this business that basically you kind of can become your own boss or become your own business owner or whatever else. So I started off doing that and built a team, and then kind of went off into my own thing. I opened up my own location.
Nice.
Started scaling that, and now we oversee, probably oversee, I don't know, 400 or so sales reps, door knockers.
Wow.
Have some leaders and managers, kind of underneath me or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I say that to say, like, most people when I tell them like what I do, I used to try to like, try to gloss it up a little bit.
Yeah.
You don't want to tell people you like knock on doors.
Yeah. It's like one of those industries where it's like,
Let's just say I never got like a lot of follow-up questions when I told people what I do. I'd be like, oh, I'm like guy that knocks on doors. And people would just be like, oh. It's not
one of those guys.
One of those guys, and that was it. Which was cool. In the beginning, you tell you tell people what you do, and you're like, I'm like a marketing, acquisition specialist. Try to make it sound fancier.
Yeah, I've heard that for like Uber drivers, where they're like, yeah, I'm a cuisine delivery guy.
I'm the expert transportation specialist.
Yeah, something fancy, which is like, it's funny.
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah. Which I should have learned, because I was like early in my like college year, high school. I was a greeter at Dick's Sporting Goods, and they called me the talent. It was the specialist. What was it? The customer engagement specialist.
Oh yeah.
And I was just like, ooh, that sounds good.
Something I want to put on my resume.
That sounds really good. And then they just put you at the door and you just talk to people. But yeah. So I guess I I learned a lot obviously through that. Met a lot of cool people, and a lot of things have transpired over that time. But yeah, started off in the door-to-door space. Built a team and got really good at it. Became a national consultant, which is I guess somebody who oversees a lot bigger people, more responsibility and stuff like that. So training, recruiting, building teams, creating systems, building leaders, empowering people. Learn all these skills, and then I'm like, all of a sudden, this world of social media opens up in the last like 8 months. Now I'm like, dang, like I've been doing this like. You kind of just do it, but then like it's like social media almost opens up like a whole nother level. Yeah. Like a door that
Would you say that you feel like, because I know I felt this way when I first started on social media, I just started with like it's too late. Like, I don't want to start. Like, it's because I remember 6 years ago to start posting and like to become an influencer or whatever.
Yeah. Like I had, my limiting belief was like, what I'm talking about, probably somebody already is saying it. Yeah. So why does the world need another person to talk about, leadership or mentor, whatever, like, you know what I mean? Yeah. So like, like imposter syndrome or something like that. You know?
100%.
Like thinking like, all right, you know, what am I going to talk about that people haven't already heard? So totally.
Yeah, I felt that way recently because I was telling you I just had a business that failed, and now I'm kind of going through like a rebrand, and I'm like, oh, what do I talk about now?
Yeah.
But it's really just documenting the journey. As
Yeah.
cliche as it sounds, it's like, well, just talk about the failure.
Just talk about it.
Talk about it. And now I'm like starting to be more open about it, but I was like almost embarrassed of it. And I'm like, well, I'm a kid. I'm learning. It's part of the game. So I'm just like, just talk about it.
Yeah.
And now I'm just like figuring out what the next avenue is. So I kind of turned off social for a few months, and I was like, okay, let me go back in there. But again, imposter syndrome is like so hard to get over.
Real.
Yeah.
So real.
Yeah.
And especially I'm like, who's gonna like talk to some guy who knocks doors? Like, great.
Yeah.
And then, cool story, bro. You know what I mean? Kind of thing. So
that's funny.
So
yeah. So what's the game plan now? 8 months in, what are you looking to do with social? Or
and it's funny because like you're giving me this credit for like social media. I actually so my business partner, Jamar. Go follow Jamar Sims on IG. But he got me into the space. So I actually had a word. I had somebody speak over my life. I told me that you're going to be in media. Mm-hmm. And this is before I even met Jamar. This is before I even got into like social media and stuff like that. And you know, we're not really like crushing it. Like there's guys that crush it. I would say I just leaned on him. I'm not even like a social media like guy. I mean, I've learned because of him how impactful it is and how powerful it is, or how empowering it is, and you can reach just obviously so many more people. But it's crazy just to think like this year my word was word of the year, which we do every year is association. So I was like, if I just associate and just surround myself with people, you know, enough people. Eventually, I'm going to find, you know, you connect with the right people, you're going to get access to what they have access to. Yeah. So that's it. I just started associating with better people. Like here I am associating with you. Yeah. And who knows where this is going to go. But you just start partnering with people. And next thing you know, they gain you access to people you would never get there on your own. Yeah. I like, I really like what you said because it reminds me of like a year ago when my business was failing and something told me, I don't know what it was, go start a podcast. Wow. And I was like, whatever. And I'm the business was dying, and I'm still gonna. And I went out and spent $15,000 on equipment just to start a podcast. Yeah. And then but I strategically knew I was like, okay, cool people do podcasts. I'll meet cool people. If I meet cool people, it'll point me in the right direction to the next thing. That actually makes sense. And I was like, okay. And I did it. And next thing you know, I remember this little podcast studio out of my whole warehouse because I had 2 warehouses by Allegiant Stadium. I was doing the e-commerce thing. I had forklifts and all this stuff. And that little podcast studio was making me more net profit than the whole business. So I was like, okay, I got something here. So then next thing you know, like alignment of some sort, Josh told me, my partner here, that he was going to build this upstairs because like you just asked us, this is new, 6 months. So he's like, oh, I'm building a podcast studio. And then I was like, oh, I have stuff and I'm closing down this business. I need somewhere to put it. And then this happened, and now we run a marketing agency. But it's crazy to me. And what you just said, it's like association. I knew that I would meet people that way. Well, it's cool what you said, too, and I agree with. It's like there's like a tendency, I think, with us, like just like, I don't know if it's like a human thing where it's like we almost feel like if we're stuck, we need to like get ourselves out of it. Mm-hmm. And I love what you said. You're like, all right, I'm not liking where I'm at. Yeah. So if I don't like where I'm at, instead of beating myself up about how, I got myself into this mess, because a lot of people do that. I mean, so many people, they're like, I got myself into this. I got to get myself out of it. Yeah. And you said something that was really was powerful. It's like, all right, I'm in this mess. I'm not going to try to get myself out of it. I'm going to go and meet with other people that are going to help me get out of this. Mm-hmm. And so like the partnerships or association gets you out of problems instead of trying to say, you know what, I got myself in this. I'm going to get myself out of it, because I think that's like a mistake. Yeah, I think I don't know who told me, or I don't know where I heard it, but somebody told me like there's talent in knowing when to quit. And I was like putting my head into the ground, like burning cash every month, trying to get this other business to work. And I was like, luckily I had a good 3 or 4 years before that, so I could afford to burn the cash. But then I was thinking about it, because last year I'm going to take like a pretty big loss. And I did the math, and I was like, I could have bought a Lambo, sat at home and watched Netflix all day with my kid, and just been better off. Dang. Dang. Because, I mean, thinking about it, I'm like, I was burning $15,000 to $30,000 a month, and I'm like, I could have bought a Lambo and stayed home, spent more time with my kid, and been in the same position I am now. But I think, obviously, all the lessons that I took from that experience
has led me to where I'm at now, and I'm able to take those lessons.
That's sick. I mean, the fact that you still got out there and tried it the first time
Yeah.
is still like a win.
But it's I really like that. Like, just I wanna know what my word is now.
Yeah. Yeah, like word of the year. It's like powerful because it becomes like part of like your thing. And
but do you like assign yourself a word, or like how does that work?
Yeah, I mean, like, so you can. I mean, words are like. I mean, that's a whole nother like podcast, but we can get into it. I mean, words are just super powerful. I mean, they say death and life is in the power of the tongue, and so like, you speak a word over your situation. That's why, like, like even just when you meet people that are really successful, they just really good at like empowering other people through their words, and so like, just a word is powerful. So I guess to answer your question, like yeah, when you start off the beginning of the year and you have like a word associated with it, and you have to wait till like I guess it's June. You could set like a back half of the year word, so you could always start just past June 1st. So you should set up a back half of the year word.
Okay.
So you missed the beginning of the year, but you still have, because we literally officially kicked off
June.
Yeah, June marks the back half, the back 9 of the year.
Yeah.
So you could just do a back 9 word.
Yeah.
And just pick a word that you're gonna like. Just a word, it could be 2 words, but a word that like kind of just gives you that overall kind of like long-term thing. Like it's not it's just something you want to embody, the decision making and the choices you make. Whenever you get caught up in something or you struggle with something, you just remember that word, and that word becomes what you're going to focus on.
Wow, I feel like I need to do some homework because I was hoping like a word would just come to me, but it's not. I'm just.
I mean, a word can come to you. Yeah, I would just think about it and then pick a word. I mean, to me, it's powerful. I mean, it's literally happening. It's manifesting because I'm saying like, okay, association. Like I'm going to associate this year. I'm going to stop trying to do like you said of like, I'm going to stop trying to work hard, and I'm going to work hard and work smart.
Yep.
Association is working smart.
Yeah.
Because if I associate with people that are already in a space that I want to be in, I'm going to get there faster.
Yeah.
And that's why you started the All-Star coaching thing.
Yeah.
That was association, and that makes sense. And if you just do that more and more and more and more, like you're already doing it. Yeah. And you're seeing results and seeing fruit from it. So.
Yeah, and it's funny because like I feel like anybody in business or whatever entrepreneurship, we're like always kind of hard on ourselves.
Yeah.
And I'm getting a lot of like praise, truthfully, like from people that have been in Vegas for 5+, 10+ years. Like, how have you only been here 3 years and you're like connected with these guys? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm just doing it.
Well, you have a magnetic personality. I can just tell by the way.
Oh, well, thanks.
It can tell you have a genuine kind of.
Well, that's good to hear. But even like my business partner now, Leland, he's actually doing the cameras. He was asking me. He's like, bro, like, how do you know this agent? Like, this guy's crushing it. And I'm just like, I don't know. We met at pickleball. And then it's like, and then like another agent. I'm just like, I don't know, dude. And then the funniest part was, me and Leland were here hanging out, and Kevin brings me a cake, and he's like, that guy just brought you a cake, and he's like one of the best like top agents in Vegas. And I was like, I don't know, bro. I've just been here for a couple years.
And it's just connections.
Yeah. So I don't know what it's been, but it's been my whole life. Like, I've always been very social. I've always just been like loud and obnoxious almost. But like I don't know. I just go with it.
Yeah. People are just gonna know who you are.
Yeah. And either it's a good thing or a bad thing.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it's working. Yeah. So I'd keep rocking.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Sorry, I always turn these, especially when it's people when I don't know the other guests. Yeah. We always kind of turns into me, and then I'm just trying to go back and forth.
We go back and forth. Yeah. That's all good. I love it.
Yeah, we're learning each other.
We're learning each other.
Yeah.
This is good.
So, I don't know where to go now, man. Like, I don't know you. I feel like what outside of business, what are you because I did do a little research on your social. So you're religious. Is that what are your main pillars on your social, and like are you eventually trying to start a community?
Yeah.
Go the course route? Like what's the goal?
So the goal would be we're gonna do both. So I mean I haven't started a podcast, but I'm like there's really no reason not to.
Yeah.
You know? And so that's definitely gonna be in the works. So that's coming soon.
Yeah.
I won't drop the name yet, but we got some ideas. So
okay.
We're pretty excited. So podcast journey, go that route, and then get into coaching.
Mm-hmm.
So we have some mentors and stuff like that we're working with to get into coaching. But yeah, coaching, podcast world,
just more media.
More media.
More media. More eyeballs, more and you can what I always tell people for our clients, I was like, which is a good thing and a bad thing. It's focus on getting the eyeballs, figure out what to do with them later.
Yeah. Yeah. But and something that's actually like really cool because like I didn't really realize just the power and the magnitude that like social media and just like media in general, like everybody has a unique like gift and a story that could help somebody else. And it's almost selfish to like not use that.
Yeah.
You know, if you've been like blessed with some gift, right, which we all have, you have a gift.
Yeah.
But you're sharing that with people. You're blessing other people with it.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you believe what I believe or not, like you believe you're helping somebody.
Yeah.
And what's really cool is like even what's been rewarding is like getting involved, just meeting people, and then even through social media, like, you know, I connect with somebody. And, you know, they reach out and they're like, hey, you know, something about your page really spoke to me. You know, you really hit me. I'm sure you guys get comments like that every once in a while. You're like, man, I just appreciate everything, whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like that one person that just like gives you that confirmation, like what you're doing is like blessing them, and you're like changing people's lives. It's like, like, dude, that's awesome. Like, you know.
Yeah, I had that. Like, again, I'm so new to this. I would say social media world, but also just like business. And I used to bartend in Sacramento.
Okay.
And I'm getting some.
Not shocking.
Yeah. and I'm getting some old friends that are reaching out, like, hey, like, you motivated me to quit my job and go try to do my own thing. Like, I saw you do it. Why can't I? And I was like, that's cool. Like, and I'm just some kid. Like, I'm just trying to figure it out.
You're just figuring it out. But somebody's juiced up. They're like, you know what? I'm going to take a shot.
Yeah. And I was like, because I remember quite literally, I'll decide if I want to bleep this out later or not. Like, getting blacked out at bars with this kid.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I was just a train wreck. And he's like, and then he saw me go from that to what I'm doing now. And he's like, okay. Yeah. And it motivates somebody. But like, it sounds cliche, but like, even that one person like made me feel so good about it. I was like, okay, it's one person. Who cares? Like, that was worth it.
It was worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's so true. So that's probably been one of the most rewarding things. So I'm like, man, like, I just want to keep tapping into those kind of things. And just meeting people and just offering whatever skill. Like, I'm like you. You said something earlier. It's like, you're at the stage where like you meet people and it's like you just want to learn from other people. Like, I'm, you know, they say the master is a forever student. Like, just learn from as many people as possible, get as much knowledge as you can, and just apply it, and then have the right people to help you implement it and stuff like that. So I'm like, you know.
But I think with that comes a lot of like being self-aware, because like I feel like I know people personally who are in the right rooms, but they're just like almost not taking advantage of it. And now I'm like getting to the point where I'm getting in the right rooms, but I'm trying to be hyper aware.
Yeah.
And like it was like a little networking event a few weeks ago, but I was like the youngest kid in there. I was like, okay, this is good.
Yeah,
like, I'm just be the small fish in
the big pond. Right?
Yeah.
Like,
and I'm just, but I'm like consciously thinking about it. And I feel like that's where there's like a disconnect with some people. I'm like, you guys are in the right rooms, but you're just not taking advantage.
You're not taking advantage of it. Interesting. Why do you think, like, why do you think that, like, what do you think it is? Like, when people, because it's like you got enough awareness to get there.
Yeah.
But they didn't know how to take advantage of it.
I feel like maybe I'm wrong, but like, I feel like there has to be a level of luck. Like, there has to be a level of luck. And I would say I would attest to like, there was a level of luck to me, like in the last few years, but what's luck? It's like, what's that quote where it's like, luck, the formula to luck is like being prepared.
Yeah.
But like, if you're not,
like, what, it was like a math problem or something.
Yeah.
Like persistence plus.
Persistence plus
opportunity equals luck or something
exactly.
like that. Yeah.
And it was just, I feel like it's that, but I don't really have an answer. It's I feel like my gut feeling is just telling me there has to be a level of luck, like, because everybody's dealt the cards they're dealt. Like, I was born in East LA, and I, very poor growing up.
Yeah.
And then I know guys who were born very wealthy growing up, but that doesn't mean anything.
Right.
It's like you're dealt the cards you're dealt. Do the best you can do with them. And I feel like when people, what's the word? I don't know how to, like, they take
almost,
for granted,
like
their cards.
Blame their situation or
exactly.
something like that.
Yeah, but it was like, dude, like, and then it's funny, like, now that I'm posting and being a lot and talking about what I'm doing, I'm getting people from like high school that are reaching out, and like some people are very disagreeing. They're like, oh, like I'm like, what are you talking about? We went to the same school.
What would they say?
Like, that I put some political stuff up.
That's the part he forgot to lay out.
Yeah. But it was just like, it was about business, and it was I forgot what the premise of it was, but it was pretty much saying that
I love how you like skipped right over
me.
there. It's like, it just happened, and then like they were saying some stuff. And I'm like, well, what was it? Well, it was like political stuff.
Yeah. But it was just
well, that
funny.
makes sense.
Yeah.
But
I had a thought that I wanted to not forget, so I'm just gonna address it now.
Yeah, go for it.
With you being so new to social, I would say 8 months is newish.
Yeah.
Are you handling it yourself? Obviously, you have a team.
Yeah.
But like with that, how important do you think it is to have a team? Because you're not writing captions and stuff on your own, right? You're not editing yourself. You're not doing any of that.
No.
You're just showing up, talking, and then
I'm like he'll send me the video and I'll be like, dude, sick, post it. Or I'll be like, I don't know. So I get a hunch so that I'm like, what if you said it like this, or what if you posted that instead? So that kind of stuff.
Okay. Because I'm gonna selfishly use that as a video for our company, because he's gonna say it. Like if you had to do this yourself.
Well, first off, if I had to do it myself, I wouldn't have done it.
Uh-huh.
2, if I did it myself, it would not be what it is. I wouldn't have I wouldn't have done it by myself. So you probably need a team. I mean, I have heard people say, now that I'm in like this space, I guess, you know, and I don't consider myself like a influencer or social media person. I probably never will. Yeah. Because I don't really care. It's not like I do it for that. It's just like, you know, I have something that I'm good at, as a lot of people do, and I'm just instead of just keeping it to the small group in Baltimore, I'm just doing it with everybody. That's it. I don't see it as like anything. It's just a way to more people to see, to like if we had glass windows into our building. That's what social media is. Yeah. So I mean, if you're, but I have heard there's people like, you know, just pull out your phone and that's social media. It's so hard. Yeah, and I'm like, I don't think I would be able to have done it like that. Yeah. If I would just pull out my phone and start recording stuff or whatever. Like, I don't know. I mean, like I think that's awesome. I don't really. I'm not judging it, but it's like, I don't think I would ever. No, I wouldn't have started. Because I think
like when you try to do it yourself, you're almost hypercritical and you're like, oh, it's a bad video, delete.
Yeah.
Bad video, delete. But it's like, just keep it. Just keep it. Edit it. See if it comes out good.
Yeah. So that. Yeah. Well, I mean, because they say like, I don't know if this is like where you were going with it. Yeah. But there's like you either have time or money, and so like I had the money, so I could afford to buy my time back with it. So I'm like, okay, but if I didn't have the money and I was still trying to get relevant on social, you would have the time. So it's not that I wouldn't have done it necessarily in the sense of like, you know, I wouldn't post videos or whatever else. It's just I didn't have the time to do it. Yeah. But I had the access and the money to do it. So I was like, okay, I'll pay for somebody to partner with me. Yep. And that's what I would do for anybody. Like if somebody was listening or whatever, I'd be like, you got one of the two. If you got money, then you should definitely be on social. Get somebody, pay somebody to help you with it. And if you don't have that, then you have time to put in to edit your own videos or all that other stuff. That is what makes sense to me.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, we pretty much preach that, and some people still don't listen. Yeah. Oh, man. But it's interesting. It's just like everybody, they don't understand the behind the scenes of any business. They just assume the product and the service is just delivered. They don't see all the like front end, all the front lines, like all the editors, all the freaking everything that we do. So
it's funny because I was talking, I was at Ryan's office last couple of days, and I was talking with him for like 20 minutes, and it was just interesting. Like he was going through that, like kind of like not frustration, but just like that thing that every business owner and somebody that's put in the work has to express to people that don't get it. Is like, bro, like you don't see, like you are seeing the fruits of all these things, not realizing all of the stuff of what it takes.
100%.
And even him, I mean, he's still having to like have these conversations with people on his team of like, dude, you're seeing all these things. And it's so funny because I'm like, dang, so like every entrepreneur, like, all right, cool, I'm not alone in this. Like, I'm like, dang, am I like losing my brain here? Like repeating this sometimes to my guys or my team. It's like, guys, you have this because of what was built. It's not because of, like, no, I'm not saying you're not a big part of it, but it's like you have to recognize that, I guess, or whatever. So
no, I preach that to our clients, but also to the team, like you just said, and I forget that sometimes that like what I think I actually heard this from Alex Ramosi is like every business has two pipelines. You got your clients, but you also got your team that you're constantly recruiting. Facts. And you got to keep that pipeline you got to treat that pipeline just as important as the other pipeline. Facts. And like letting them know that, you know, everything they have is because there's things in place. Yeah. Like we have a client right now who's, and one thing I think I learned a lot in business and was like, I was very much like a people pleaser in business. Like, we can adjust that for you. No problem. No problem. Yeah. We'll change everything we do for you, of course. And I'm recently like now actually I'm learning to like lay down the hammer in a nice way, but I'm like, no, we will not do that.
Facts.
But I don't know how I got to there, but yeah, it's interesting. I'm just like, no.
Yeah. Just like, but like just setting those boundaries. And, you know, understanding like what you're gonna. But it also comes probably too with like, you know, like experience and then your pipeline. Like if you have a bunch of guys and you're not gonna adjust everything about your business to fit somebody. Yeah. Just like you're not gonna adjust everything you do to fit to one person on your team. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, we want to be as accommodating and understanding, and that goes a whole nother into like training and like setting expectations and stuff like that.
And I've learned a lot in the last year and a half of that side of the business because I used to be because I went from a product-based business, which was e-commerce, I'm selling stuff, to a service-based business.
Yeah, so you were doing that kind of stuff like through like drop ship type stuff?
Or so I started with drop shipping while I was in the military, and that's what introduced me. And then when I got out, I went into FBA, and so it's like I started just buying wholesale. Got it. So like I used to sell toothpaste and deodorant and all this stuff. but there's no like feelings behind this stuff. Right. So when you sell it, somebody knows what they're buying. Nobody's going to return deodorant. But what I learned going from product-based business to service-based business was now I'm dealing with people's feelings. They don't like how they look. They don't like what they said. So now it's like, I'm getting a lot of different.
Wow. Yeah, that's cool.
So I'm like, two different types of business, but like a lot of parallels. But the biggest thing was now I have feelings to deal with.
Right.
And that's hard.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. That's cool. I don't think I've ever like made that like connection of like you go from products. Products are just products. They don't have a personality, feelings. But then you go into service and it's all customer relation. Yeah. CRM.
Exactly.
Like, and it's like, oh crap. Exactly.
Yeah. Because with the product stuff, dude, it was like you build it, you hire the people, you put the infrastructure together, and then you just what I thought you turn it on, right?
Yeah,
and that's it.
Yeah.
But with this, it's like so much back and forth.
Yeah.
So I'm learning a lot. But
yeah, that's really cool. And just in like 3 years, you're saying, 2.5 years.
Yeah, 2.5, 3 years. Yeah,
it's pretty sick.
Yeah.
Yeah. So to answer your question, I mean, we'll see how it goes. I mean, but that's the direction.
How much time do you think you're committing to social? Because like that's another like I think misconception we have. If we don't want to talk about social, I guess we can.
We can go any which way. Yeah.
Okay. I just figured I'm curious, but how much time are you dedicating to social? Because sometimes people assume you're going to be filming every day and all this stuff, but like we tell our clients like we're looking at like 2 or 3 hours a month.
Yeah,
like if we can get it all done. You know?
I mean you can get a lot done in a short amount of time. I mean we go 3 days a week, so we go like Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
You're cranking then.
We post 3 days. We post, we usually post like 3, reels a week, and that could scale over time and stuff like that. But we've learned it's better to be like consistent with less.
Yep.
Than inconsistent with more.
Yeah.
And so like if you were gonna post like every day of the week, and then next week post like once, it's better to post twice a week or whatever that we've seen. So just post consistently. If it's less, just post consistently less versus just going hard one week, and then kind of taking the week off. Like that's where it gets like kind of janky.
Yeah. No, we've seen that too, and like we've talked to some of our clients about it,
and they probably say the same.
Yeah, but it's just funny because like they'll go super hard 2 months. Oh, I didn't see any results. I'm quitting, and I'm like, well, just downgrade, just keep posting a little bit.
Yeah.
But like we're like, don't just stop because then when you start again, it's like all that wasted time.
Yeah, like
and it's so hard to get. I feel like the 3-month mark is the hardest. What was the hardest month for you where you were like, I just don't know if it's gonna work? We're seeing month 3 to 4. It's like everybody's falling off.
Well, I mean, for us, it wasn't like, to me, this never felt forced.
Okay.
So it wasn't like I ever had to force it. Like that's the thing. It just kind of came natural. Like we just, I met this guy and we connected. Okay. He had been doing it for other stuff. Like he had shot some things for like the Miami Dolphins. He was partnered with some really like high-powered people, and he had really good connections in Baltimore. So it was just like, all right, I'm around the right guy. Like, I really don't have anything to worry about because if you, again, association, if you associate with the right people or whatever, or if you're connected with a good community of people that can hold you accountable and stuff like that, which I totally recommend doing if somebody wasn't going to post or not going to take social media serious. Just get around people that do take it serious. And if you just hang around people that are posting all the time, you're going to post because you have that accountability. Yeah. So I would just say get in communities where people do it. Yeah. But it always kind of I don't want to say it came easy. It was just smooth because it wasn't like.
Because you had a team.
We had a team. And it was just, and also it was just like, I'm talking about this stuff anyways. Yeah. All right, so if I just get filmed to do what I'm already doing anyways, it doesn't feel like this big thing. So it's like
what you just said is like what we preach. I'm like, if we, because what we like to say, like one of our value propositions is we'll come with prompts on whatever you want to talk about. Like we'll look up what's trending. We'll do the research. Yeah. But if we ask you a question and you have to go like research it, it means you shouldn't be talking on this topic.
Right. Facts.
And I see a lot of people trying to talk about stuff that they know nothing about.
Right.
And I think that's another thing that like with social, it's like if you're already doing it, document that. Don't try to like become somebody.
That's fact.
Just be who you already are on camera.
That's why it's like, so people ask, they're like, to me, I'm like, this is like, it's not that, I don't know, it's not that hard because this is just what I'm doing. I'm having these conversations like in my business. Like I'm talking about, obviously I bring faith into like the business world, and that's kind of like going to be like one of the pushes is like how to take like, church people, which have a certain mentality that I want to break in some ways in the business world and kind of mash those two together. It's what I do anyways. So like, I'm going to be talking about it whether I'm on camera or not. I might as well be on camera. Yeah. Talking about it. That's kind of the mindset.
I guess we can touch on religion because I'm going to tell you something that's kind of a cool, Not cool.
Let's do it.
All right. So my wife's, I was gonna say my wife's father-in-law. My father-in-law was a pastor, youth pastor, very involved with the church growing up. Around, I think high school. Okay. My wife will correct me if I'm wrong. Something happened, became an atheist. And that obviously caused some whatever stuff with the marriage, divorced. Now he married this doctor lady, Jen. I love Jen. She's dope. But now, and this is where it's like, I'm not religious, and I hope this doesn't offend you.
I don't think it's possible to be offended.
His life went like, it got luxurious. It got nice. Like, found this doctor lady that paid for him to go back to college. Went to go do IT. Now he's crushing life.
Yeah.
Love my mother-in-law as well. But she's just doing life normally.
Yeah.
And I'm just like,
it's almost like it seems like the correlation there is like he got an upgrade when he ditched.
And I'm not religious. I think I was raised Catholic, and then in high school I went to church on my own and whatever. But like I wouldn't say like right now I'm like religious. I mean I believe in a higher power of some sort. Sure. But yeah, and I'm just like, how do you go from that level of religion to being a pastor, youth pastor, to that level of non-believing? And in my head, I'm just like, what happened?
Yeah.
I don't know the story. I actually would love to have him on a podcast and see what he says and get it on camera.
That'd be an interesting point.
But what are your thoughts on that?
Well, so the Bible actually talks about this. So the Bible actually says that that there's an analogy that Jesus used when he's preaching to his disciples, and he basically talks about this this concept where there will be people that will hear the word of God is like a seed that's planted, and some people in their heart, he uses the heart as the analogy. Some people will hear the word and depart from it because the word or the seed was planted in rocks, and so their heart becomes hardened after a period, and the enemy or the devil will pluck that seed of faith out. And he basically goes on to tell this analogy of seeds that enter into thorns, and for a period they love God, but then they fall away from the faith.
Yeah.
But he talks about how the ones that don't depart from the faith are the ones where the word of God or the seed was planted in good soil. And so unless you have good fertile soil for that word to hit, see a lot of people that I've seen that struggle with faith, it's that their seed was planted in a false soil. So if like, let's say, give you an example of what that would look like. Let's say you grew up religious. That seed, unless your heart is in it, like you just said something just now, like, yeah, I grew up, I guess, kind of religious or whatever. I grew up Catholic. So the way you've heard the word of God, or the seed that was put on you, was based off of somebody else's faith. So that seed has not been put in a firm soil, if you will, because you're not you, but like somebody's basis for their religion. Like if I go off of I can't live off of somebody else's faith.
Yeah.
So if I grow up like Christian just because my parents are Christian, and I do the youth pastor thing and I do all this other stuff, I'm almost doing that because I fundamentally believe in the concept of religion, but it's never hit my heart. And so it's really important. Like Jesus talks a lot about the heart of man, and so unless it enters your heart. That's why the Bible says, lean not in your own understanding, but trust in the Lord, not with your mind, but with your heart. And so if you can read, like there's people that read the Bible that know the Bible like in and out, like have read it 5 times. Yeah. But they don't have the heart because it's not a textbook. Yeah. It's a heart thing. And if somebody's heart is there, and it kind of answers your question. Yeah. So it is possible that somebody could fade away, but I would argue that they never actually were a believer in the first place.
They were just going through the motions.
Because if you've had an encounter, like, so I'll give you like my brief testimony if you want me to share it real quick. Of course. This is like what happened for me. So I grew up in a Christian home. Parents, but nothing wrong. I mean, my parents loved me. I grew up in a loving household. Yeah. Upper middle class family. My dad did very well as a traveling salesman. My mom was a chiropractor, started her own practice and stuff like that. So like, come from a good family, nothing bad, you know, like. Yeah, I mean, we all have. There's still
everybody has hardships,
right? Yeah. So it's like, but I'm very appreciative of the way I grew up because comparatively, I'm definitely blessed. But grew up and I went to church every Sunday, and then as I became my own person, you get into high school and college. I went to a boarding school, And so at 13, I moved away.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah. So
I
mean, it wasn't. Yeah. Well, this was the cool part about the boarding school.
Yeah.
I had two options. It was you can go to the all boys boarding school. My dad went to a boarding school when he was younger.
Interesting.
So it was like you're gonna go to that boarding school and it's all guys, or you can go to this other boarding school and it's co-ed.
Yeah.
So you obviously know which one I picked.
Oh yeah, all boys.
Yeah. I love it. This is why we're good.
Yeah.
We need to hang out. But yeah. So obviously I chose the co-ed one.
Yeah.
Not the all girls. Sorry, the co-ed one.
That would be a great boarding school.
That'd be a great boarding school. So I chose the co-ed one, obviously, and but as I grew up, right, what had happened with me is that my relationship with God started to fade. I still had a belief, like I believed in God, just like a lot of people do, but I didn't have it like my own I guess relationship was built on what I had grown up knowing. And then of course college comes around and I'm getting involved in some dumb stuff. I mean, I'm just going ham. I'm like, this is like my first time of really like experiencing stuff. So I'm doing everything. I mean, I'm, whatever. Well, I got arrested 3 times from the age of 19 to 21. And the judge was like, hey, if I, one more time, never forget this. She said, one more time, I see you in this courtroom, I'm going to make an example out of you. And those words she spoke were so strong. I was like, okay, I need to change talk about association. I had a bad association, not because they were bad. I was just trying to be cool in a group of people.
Yeah.
I changed my association. I started hanging around with better people. Long story short, which we'll talk about a whole nother thing, across the street from the courthouse that I went to where I got arrested is where my office is now, where we've been able to run, multi-million-dollar operation. So it's just a whole
So you get to see it every morning.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Like, literally on the other side of the street is where the same place I got told that if you come here again, I got arrested for the 3rd time. Across the street is where our office is. So it's kind of crazy.
That's funny. Yeah.
So it just goes to show anything can be changed. And your situation can improve, obviously, and by God's grace. But so, anyways, I go into college, do all the dumb stuff that everybody does. I get arrested. I'm hanging around like drug dealers. I'm doing all sort of dumb stuff.
Yeah.
And you've heard these stories, right? And it's completely my fault. Like I got myself in here. It wasn't bad. I didn't need to do that. But I had this kind of like revelation, and that was where I really felt one of my lowest points personally, right? I get into this business. I start knocking doors. I get successful. It wasn't until September of last year. September of 2022. Where I have a powerful encounter. I'm in my room. I'm in my living room, and I had been in 2021 was one of the worst spiritual 2020 end of 2021 into 2022 was one of my worst business years. We were down bad. I was losing money. We were bleeding. It was bad. Yeah. My spiritual situation was bad. Like I was just in a broken place. But for the longest time, I've always been the type of person like the golden child of something. If I'm going to play sports, I'm going to do the best at it.
Yep.
If I'm going to be in business, I'm going to do the best at it. So I'm used to being like that dude.
Yeah.
And for like a 6-month year period, I was not that dude. And I was told a ton of stuff about me, and my identity was built in my success.
Yeah.
So because of that, the minute you take somebody out, if somebody starts to lose and their identity was built on something that can fade, then what happens is that when that disappears, you don't have anything to like. So I found myself stuck, like spiritually, even though I had everything the society would say you have. Like you have money, you have family, you've had a car, you've had houses, you got everything you should want, right?
Yeah.
But I was broken, right? And so I had this encounter, and at that moment in September 2022, I just had this I was watching this video, right? And just all of a sudden I just broke into tears, and I felt like the worst I've ever felt. I had actually, everything up to my life, all the choices I had made made me realize how wicked I was. And it made me realize, wow, if life were to end today, I'm not sure I would like where I was going to go, eternally.
Yeah.
And it just hit me big time. And I remember hearing, a voice. It wasn't even audible. It was, inside of me, a voice that was just, call on Jesus and I'll set you free. And I just said, Jesus, I said, because I knew growing up, Jesus. But it was I had heard it inside of me. I can't explain it, but it was just and dude, that night, okay, I cried my eyes out, and I don't really cry. I'm supposed to be a man, I guess. But it's
alpha males.
Alpha male, right? No tears here. Yeah. No tears in business. The next day, dude, I lost the desire to chase after things that I did. Some things that I was addicted to before broke off me, man, and changed my life. Anxiety, depression went away. I struggle with lust, I struggle with pornography and stuff like that. I struggle with a lot of things, and a lot of guys would be like, bro, it's just porn, who cares? And I get that, I totally get it, trust me. But dude, after that point, man, my shame went away. There were some things that I had been holding on to that I wasn't really able to see because it was masked behind all the successes.
Yeah.
And I know this is like getting extra deep. Right?
No, it's good. I like it.
This is good.
We're good.
So anyways, when I experienced the power of God, it became it wasn't a mind thing. It was a heart thing.
Mm-hmm.
They say you can't meet God, you can't meet Jesus, or you can't meet the Holy Spirit and stay the same. It's impossible. And in the Bible, everybody that ever met Jesus never stayed the same. They always changed. They either got healed, they got delivered, they got grace, they got blessed. Something happened. You can't meet him and stay the same. And so, like, to answer your question of like somebody who goes youth pastor, I would be interested, because if I were to be here on the podcast, if I could trace back how they got to where they were in their faith.
Yeah.
If your faith, it's impossible to please God without faith, but it's impossible to really know God without your heart being in the right place. It's a heart relationship. It's kind of like it's like I have a relationship with my wife. You have a relationship. Are you married?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, the knowledge of you guys being married is great, but it doesn't matter if you're married if you have like 3 side pieces.
Yeah.
So what really matters? The relationship of like knowing that you guys are Facebook official?
Yeah.
Or the actual, like, nobody can tell you that you don't have a relationship.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
Wow.
So a lot of people are like
yeah.
Facebook official with God.
Yeah.
But they're not actually followers.
Well, do you think that that's why, how do I say it not rudely again?
You're not going to offend me.
You get a lot of the, you go to church,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And the videos are everywhere online where it's like the people at the church are the worst. Like they're not welcoming. Like there's all these social experiments.
Dude, it's so true.
And it's like I don't get it. And then like first of all, the US is fucked right now. Like all the fucking music, like all this shit that's going on. I'm like, are we even a Christian country anymore? Like, what is happening?
So
it's crazy to me.
You're right. You're right. A man of God says that the church is not a country club for saints. It's a hospital bed for sinners. And I love that.
Wow.
And he says this. It's really profound stuff. It's like, if you were to, if somebody's playing piano poorly. Let's say somebody goes to play piano, right?
Yeah.
And they're trying to play Beethoven, one of these great,
yeah.
And they just blow it. Like, it just sucks, right?
Yeah.
You're not you wouldn't be like, man, Beethoven sucks. You'd be like, no, that person's playing a bad Beethoven.
Yeah.
There are people in the church that, for lack of a better word, suck.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that Jesus sucks.
Yeah.
It means that they're playing a bad Jesus.
Yeah.
So that's the difference. So that's why I tell people, seek him for yourself. Don't seek him based off of somebody else, because in the Bible talks about the Pharisees back in the you use the Bible.
Yeah.
They were the most religious people.
Wow. Yeah.
Like, you got to understand, Jesus he didn't hang out with like the religious people, the church people. He hung out with prostitutes, what everybody else was considered sinners.
Yeah.
Broken people, murderers, adulterers. Like, he was hanging out with the worst of society.
Yeah.
Because those are the people, when society rejects people, that's who Jesus goes after more.
Yeah.
Because those people can appreciate grace. See, if you think you're good and you're blessed and you have nothing to worry about, how can God show his glory in your life?
Yeah.
Because if you have it all figured out, there's no room for him to show who he is.
Yeah.
A miracle can't be done to somebody who doesn't believe that they can take a miracle.
Yeah.
But if you're broken and then you go from brokenness to grace, now there's room for God to get the credit. And so that's why the Bible talks about when you're weak, you're actually strong. So in the weakest place where I was, that makes sense. And I didn't realize that at the time. But when I was in my weakest place or darkest place, in that weakness, that's where I saw the power of God work in my weakness.
Yeah.
And that's why it's really important to be honest about it. You know what I mean? And just, he doesn't want us to be like, like fake about it. It's like, be honest. And there are a lot of like pretend fake Christians.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, those are the people that, and I was one of them. Like, I felt bad because I was the type of guy that would have been like repping Christianity. Like, yeah, I believe in God.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I'm out here just, I'm doing everything else. Like, I'm that guy. I was the hypocrite.
Oh, yeah.
That would have thrown somebody like you off and be like, dude, look at this guy claiming one thing and doing another.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, that was me, bro.
In high school, I was going to youth group and stuff.
Yeah.
And we had this just goes to show is like, and this kind of almost like self-confirmed because I was the shitbag that was a bad person.
Yeah.
I remember we had in my old youth pastor sees this to be kind of funny / not funny. We had it was during Super Bowl weekend. There was we called it like the Super Bowl of caring, right? and we would like collect money for, I forgot what the cause was.
Okay.
And we're at the door as people were walking in. Dude, I was pocketing so much money. I was literally taking money out of the
clip this, you bastard.
I was taking money out of that thing and with another kid in the youth group.
Yeah.
And we're all, spending it on stupid shit.
Yeah.
But we're like, not looking back, I'm like, wow, like I was such a dirtbag. And it's like, it's great. And everybody perceived me as like this good kid and this and it's just like, if this kid's in the church doing this, like what are the adults doing?
Dude, totally.
So I don't know. I feel like my head's fucked.
Well, I mean, look, the Bible says that like, so there's a story that talks about the rich young ruler goes up to Jesus and he says to him like, what do I have to do to be one of your followers? What do I have to do to inherit the kingdom of God? Like, how do I make it to heaven? And Jesus he knows the condition of the guy's heart, and he says to him that, go ahead and sell everything, and then go ahead and follow me. The problem was the guy was not, he hadn't been broken. He had everything, and he didn't want to give that up. And Jesus didn't care if he was rich. Yeah. He just wanted him to separate his identity from his riches, because he couldn't use them in the way he wanted to without that. I guess my point is that, but he says to him, before he tells him that, he says, he said, good, he calls him good. He says, how does he say it? He says, you are good. And Jesus tells him, nobody is good except for God. And it's powerful because nobody is, if you actually break it down, we're all like bad people. Yeah. Nobody's good. I mean, like we're all and here's the thing that's really tricky, right? Because religion is basically, this is why I had to understand, I was religious, but there's a difference between religion and a relationship, right? So the religious part of me was like, wants to keep you in a box and like, check off all these boxes, go to church on Sunday, do all this other stuff. Not that that's bad, but it's like that stuff traps people. Yeah. And there's nobody good. And religion says just do enough good things to earn it. And relationship, like you don't like do good stuff to like be married. Yeah. You do it because you love your wife. Mm-hmm. You're not doing it so that you can win some brownie points so you can achieve some type of level in the game to beat. There's no level of the game. Yeah. You just have a relationship. You love that person, so you want to honor them by the things that you do. Yeah. It's the same thing. I think when somebody loves God, they do it out of their heart to honor him, not because they're trying to like win some game or achieve some type of status with him. And
it's like the journey, not the destination.
Exactly.
Type thing.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, and dude, what's crazy is that like now that I've like uncovered like some of these mysteries, and I have a spiritual mentor guy who's like taught me a lot about the Bible and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Bro, everything under this, the Bible says there's nothing new under the sun. All of the influencers and success, dude, you go on every video you like to watch. Just listen to Alex Hormozy. Any of these guys talk. They're extremely bright people, very talented, gifted people. They're using principles that are found in the Bible. Mm-hmm. Just spoken in different ways, but they're very specific principles that are. It's all there. Yeah. It's just a matter of where you give the credit. So, anyways, whatever. I'm going on a tangent here, but
no, it's good. It's.
I don't know if I'm like.
I'm interested. It's fun to listen to. Yeah. It's just the religion stuff's always like. I don't know. Like, I think because even as a kid, I saw all this stuff. Like what, I don't know if the right word is pissed off, but what pissed me off the most was like. Everybody goes to church on Easter and Christmas, but the rest of the year they're not here.
It seems like fake, right?
It just seemed fake. So it's just like it pushed. I would say it almost pushed me away. And as soon as I left for college, I didn't go to church. And then I met this girl, started dating, and then she was religious, so I'd go to church with her just to please her, not because I wanted her to go. Yeah. But it was just it just never seemed like a place that I wanted to hang out / be because
it seemed lame or something like that.
Yeah. So it was just. I don't know. I feel like there's
a disconnect. I don't want to be one of those guys. Be lame.
Yeah, and it was just. I would say like not the triggering point, but like it was definitely. I hate the fact that everybody wants to go on Christmas Eve, but like where have you been all year? Yeah, and the church knows it too. Yeah, and that's where it's like, okay, this is a business because the church knows for a fact that that's going to be their busiest day, so they throw on this special service to collect extra money. And it's like because they know that everybody's gonna freaking try to give for the whole year. So I don't know. Like there's like something.
Well, here's where I'll help you with this because this helped me a lot. Okay. Not only is the church a business, but I think there's absolutely nothing wrong with that because it's crazy how like I'll see pastors right now. I used to think this way. I'm like, man, why does a pastor need like a private jet? Why does a pastor need like a nice car? Yeah. But what's funny is that if somebody goes out, right? If somebody's a pedophile and has a nice car or goes to the casino, nobody cares. All of a sudden, the man of God, okay, who's leading people to live a better life, has a nice car. It's like, why is the pastor not allowed to have nice things?
Yeah.
And everybody else is allowed to have nice things.
Well, that's what you were saying earlier, right? There's this mindset that you're trying to fix.
That's right. There's a lot of people in church that have this mindset. It's a religious spirit.
Mm-hmm.
It's a religious mentality that says that if you're in church, somehow there's nobility in being broke.
Yeah.
That's not a thing. That doesn't make sense. How would you be able to do things? Cost money.
Yeah.
The same person who complains about other people not having money, they're still complaining about how they're going to get their rent paid.
Yeah.
So if money's not important, then go live in a tent somewhere, live off beans,
yeah,
and have a great life.
And I hear that argument all the time where instead of buying that nice car, you could have bought a shittier car and fed the homeless or something.
It's just stupid. It's just a stupid mentality.
Yeah.
And it's you see that in business people too. You see that in the regular world.
Yeah.
But it's very rampant in the church.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have that mentality. And look, it's like it has to be because there's just principles that work.
Yeah.
You know, like if people go to church on Easter and these other days, yes, from a business perspective, if you know there's 2 days out of the year that you're going to get the most business, are you not going to make sure you take
100%.
advantage of those situations? Of course.
Yeah, 100%.
But that's not wrong. It's not demonic. It's not bad.
Yeah.
It's called smart.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. The problem is that there's a lot of church people that have a problem with it. It's just like any other business. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Now, it all comes down to the heart.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said before, because what are your intentions? If the intention is that you want to make money so that you can become richer, dude, they always say there's a thin line between good and evil, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's because it all comes down to what is the intention of the heart. If your intention is to help people, you're in real estate. If your intention is to help people, serve people, get them a house, whatever, flip house or whatever, digital market, whatever. If your intention is to serve, then the methods that you're going to go to get there are even if somebody would say it's a gray area that you're playing, your heart is in the right place, correct?
Yeah.
Versus if your heart is to deceive people, then your methods to get there are going to be tainted.
Yeah.
So it all comes down to the heart condition of that church, the pastor, the person, whatever. What is their heart condition? And that's where you can't do that off just the surface. You'd have to, there's a whole other teaching that we could talk about with that.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense, but
no, it does. It does. And I hope my questions don't come off as like questioning you. It's just what I'm thinking.
But no. But that's actually, so I talk to my guys. I'm like, look, you need to, and this is something even in the business world I teach my guys, like my sales guys, is like appreciate people's skepticism, because when people are asking questions, even the Bible actually talks about you have to be able to have an answer for somebody that questions you and asks you why you feel the way you feel.
Mm-hmm.
So not only am I like not offended by it, I'm encouraged by your questions, because when somebody actually challenges me with questions, I can tell they're actually like interested in understanding or at least learning.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? No, dude, it's great. Like,
okay.
And you can't offend me because, it would be my choice to be offended. And I
wanted to touch on the what we were talking about, like there's nobility in being broke type thing.
Yeah.
It's funny enough. Like I only like to what's that quote? It's like if you're not generous when you're poor, you're not going to be generous when you're rich, right? And even when I was pretty broke, I always liked giving to the homeless, but it's weird because I never liked doing it when somebody else was watching, and I still don't. Like if my wife's in the car, I will not roll down the window and give the guy anything.
Yeah,
it's literally only when I'm alone.
Wow.
And it's weird, and I don't know why, but if I'm with a friend, I won't do it.
Right.
I will only do it if I'm alone. But I like that nobody saw it, and now I'm talking on camera, so it kind of defeats the purpose.
Yeah.
But there's something about that, and it's I don't know.
It's like you don't want to show off that you're doing something good.
Yeah, but it's but nowadays it's almost good to show off because there's guys that are literally multimillionaires based on videos of giving, and the videos are kind of weird because the whole thing is don't show when you do good deeds, but at the same time he needs to show it to make the business run so that he can continue to help people.
Again, it comes back and it comes back to your heart.
Yeah.
It's where is your heart in this situation? If your heart is pure about if your heart is to flex about you giving money to a homeless person, then that's whack.
Yeah.
But if your heart is I just want to help somebody, and if I want to just show that because I genuinely, it just comes down to, it all comes down to the heart. Where is that person's, what is their heart?
Yeah.
And you got to understand, God judges the heart.
Yeah.
He doesn't see. Men judge the outward appearance. God judges the heart.
I think that what you just said, judge the outward appearance. So I don't want to like seem
like that.
like I'm not soft.
By the way, can I say you're actually closer to God just by you talking? I just want you to know this. Like the line of questioning, the way you go about, you are closer to God than somebody who's like going to. There are people that you are closer to God.
Yeah.
Than you don't. You're saying like, bro, I don't know where I'm at with this stuff. It's whatever.
Yeah.
What I'm saying, you are closer to the kingdom of God than somebody who goes and lives this like holier than thou lifestyle, saying they go to church every Sunday, they do this, blah blah blah. But meanwhile, they're condemning and hypocritical and flexing all this other stuff. Trust me.
Yeah, but I got my issues. I know one thing
We
is
all do.
what is it called? I'm 29.
Yeah.
And I have this stupid goal. I don't know if it's stupid.
Yeah.
But I want a supercar by 30. And I'm like,
What's wrong with that?
And I know I can pull it off, but I'm like, am I gonna look like an idiot? Like, but then it's like now I'm worried about like the outside, like my status. To be honest, like it's my ego.
Facts. Well, so actually, what you just said was in the Bible. There talks about Jesus tells people when you give, don't let your right hand know what your left hand's doing. In other words, don't give with the idea that people are going to see you and show you how noble you are.
Yeah.
So you're already living the reason why you feel that way is because it's already like I said, you're already like that's a Bible principle.
Yeah.
It's not to show off because it almost takes the purpose away from serving others if you're giving it because you want to get some type of clout.
Yeah.
So it's pretty powerful.
But it's like I feel like I'm hypocritical almost because I'm like trying to give not being seen, but then I'm trying to go buy the supercar and like a plane because I'm a pilot and I'm trying to do all this stuff.
Yeah, but
it's I feel like I'm doing it for the ego, truthfully. Because I'm like I'm not a car guy, but I want the fucking supercar.
But what's wrong with that?
I don't know. Like, is it to feed my ego? Because at the same time, I can go buy another rental that will give my family more stability than we have now. Like, I just feel like I don't want to make the wrong decision,
Right.
but I want it, and
Right.
it's a simple thing. I just want it.
Yeah,
and that's it.
Then you should go get it. Like,
Okay.
and especially since you've worked for it. Like, you work hard, you've achieved, you've accomplished. You should go do it. Now, it's only lame if there's some random if you did it if you like loaned money from like somewhere and bought it and you're flexing like you earned it and you didn't really earn it, then yeah, that's lame.
Yeah.
But if you worked hard and the fruits of your labor produced a supercar, dude, get a freaking what supercar do you want?
I want just a basic Huracan. I want
Dude,
I want a
don't
Honda
get a
Civic of supercars. I don't even want a nice supercar.
Dude,
just like
don't
basic.
limit yourself. Like, we got to get past this judgment and this
Okay.
condemnation.
Okay.
This is a whole nother teaching. This is actually really powerful too, because this enters the whole concept of like the reason why we have condemnation and shame. So if you believe, here's the thing: like people have to realize. You asked me a question that was really deep. Of like when people go from one place to atheism, you got to realize that if you believe that there's a God, you also have to believe that there's
A devil.
correct. And so Satan is the lowercase g God of this world. The Bible says. So he is a deceiver. The Bible calls him the father of lies. He's a murderer, and he's deceptive. And his whole goal is to place shame and guilt. When there's shame and guilt, you already know that that's the devil. The Bible calls him the accuser of the brethren, or accuser of the brothers. Meaning, when you feel an accusation against yourself, or shame, or condemnation, that's the devil. 1,000,000%, and I can use scripture
But
to back it.
where would ego fit in? Because I feel like it's an ego thing.
Well, ego's pride.
Yeah.
But it's your pride that makes you feel like you're not worthy of it. Like you're trying to almost like it's almost like a reverse kind of like psychology. You're like, yeah, I don't want to seem blah blah blah, but it's actually the pride that's like you don't want to show it because you really want to like. It's like it's deep.
Yeah.
But if you just did it, you wouldn't think. If you're thinking about it,
Yeah.
that's already pride because you're worried about what other people think.
But I feel like I'm only doing it because of what people think. So that's the whole. I think that's the
then
battle
you gotta
with
figure out-
myself.
You got to figure out what it actually. So why do you really want it? Because it's cool, right?
Because it's cool, and I
And
saw a
would it-
video,
would-
but it's static. It's
Would it
like,
recognize? Would it symbolize like you achieving something?
Yeah.
And then you want to signify that moment.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what it is. There's nothing wrong with that, dude. If
Yeah.
you work hard and you earned it, go by. You should do nice things
Yeah.
and not feel guilty about it.
But then it's like being in the entrepreneurial world. You hear delayed gratification. I'm like, do I deserve it now?
Right. Well, I mean, I don't know your like situation.
Yeah.
I'm just, like, I don't know. I mean, where you're at, like,
Yeah.
financially and stuff like that. But like,
Fair.
I've heard some people say like, I bought the thing because I understand maybe it's not gonna. But sometimes you got to do stuff because it feels good for you, and
Mm-hmm.
it gives you like this sense, like you buy a nice watch or something like that.
Yeah.
It's a Rolly or something like
It
that.
is, yeah.
So you buy a nice Rolly, and it's a way for you to be like, you know what? I'm gonna honor myself. I'm gonna
Yeah.
reward myself. Get something nice.
Yep.
And that could end up propelling you to work even harder because now you're like, well, now I gotta like back up this. I can't be a Huracan, have a Huracan and be a bum.
Yep.
I can't be a scrub in a Huracan.
I've heard
So-
that as a joke. Boy math is like get more liabilities to force you to make more money.
Yeah, I've heard that too. I think that is actually a thing. I think that does work.
Yeah.
I don't know that long term that's probably the way you want to like build your like,
Yeah.
wealth thing, but
Yeah.
I've definitely like been,
Yeah.
I've definitely fallen into that.
Oh yeah, and I just feel, and
100%.
even like my partner has told me that he's like, and financially, like I have enough cash flow or whatever to comfortably, I think, afford it. But it's just still like one of those things that I'm just so iffy on, and it's just.
I
like,
think you
well,
need to do it. Like, dude, we're on this podcast. I'm telling you, you need to buy a Huracan. If you're thinking about it, you've wanted it. It's a childhood dream.
Yeah.
It's going to propel you.
Okay. All right.
If you invite me on a podcast next time, or
Yeah.
we get ours launched, and next time we talk,
Okay.
you should have a Huracan, bro.
Okay.
Dude, what's the worst thing that happens? You just give it back.
Gotta sell it, I guess.
I told my guys the other day,
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, even if you didn't want to be rich, how about get there? And if you just want to give it all away, you can do it. But get there first.
Yeah.
Have that ability to decide what you want to do once you get there.
Yeah.
But don't hate on people that haven't that you never wanted.
Yeah.
Get there, and if you, there are a lot of people that would love to take your Huracan.
Yeah.
That's the worst thing.
Well,
you
the
don't like it?
craziest part is like, I feel like there's never a moment, especially in business. I think if you have it, I don't think it can be learned. Where it's like, every time that you get to this goal, and if people say it all the time, like the mountain just gets bigger. Like you climb to this peak, oh, there's another one.
Right.
And I'm just like, 5 years ago, I would have like begged to be in the position I'm in now, and I wouldn't have thought that I would be here. But I'm just like, like, does that mean I just like do what I want?
Yeah, I mean,
it's such a like mind fuck. Like, sorry, I don't know if you're cool with cussing,
I
but
don't
yeah,
judge people. Yeah.
yeah. But it's sorry. I feel like I'm just like almost. I don't know what it is. I don't know why I'm asking these questions, man.
These are great. I mean, I hope this is like helping. Just
it is.
like
It's
I'm
good.
just, I
It's
just,
good.
I just, this is how I talk.
It's almost like a little therapy session for me.
Yeah, I
which is
mean,
good.
a lot of guys have said that when they go into my office. We
Yeah.
talk. And so I get people that call me and they're like, dude, can we just like talk? I'm like, sure, man, let's just talk.
That's funny.
So it's good because I think from my standpoint, why I think what I'm doing, this is something that really motivates me. Is like I want to be able to be that person that like people can respect, obviously, because like okay, this isn't just some guy who's just like talking about some stuff or preaching something or whatever. It's like no, he's like lived the bit. Like he's an entrepreneur. Like he's built stuff. He's built, I think I have there's a lot of guys like Ryan Pineda that his faith journey is actually starting to really like just continue to grow. He just started this Wealthy Kingdom thing. And so it's like, I think there's a lot of people that wouldn't necessarily wouldn't listen to other people that would listen maybe to me because they're like, okay, he's coming from a place not of like he hasn't accomplished something. He's accomplished in the business world. And I personally think I have a lot more to do in the business world, but just for the small size that I am now, and then of course you apply the faith stuff to it. I think it helps people they're like, okay.
Yeah.
Coming from you, it makes sense. But other people, they hear the same stuff, but sometimes coming from me, it's like different, or somebody, whatever.
Yeah.
In that place.
Man, I'm gonna have to rewatch this one and really think.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
Any other like questions you can think of?
I don't know. I feel like the religious ones, which is I'm cool with, took over half of it, but whatever. I like the way.
I don't know
it
what
went.
your audience likes to hear, or whatever what your normal stuff is, but it just flows.
What are we at time? We're at about an hour. I mean, anything else you want to touch on, and we can wrap it up.
Yeah, I'm cool. I mean, I can talk about. I mean, this is great, cool conversation. So I could do this forever.
I'll ask a personal or a selfish question.
Okay.
Based on, like again, because I use these as mentorship
Mm-hmm.
sessions almost. Based on like my vibe, like the energy that I'm giving off, like what's a piece of advice you'd give me?
All right. So,
and how old are you, by the way?
I'm 34.
34. Okay.
34.
So you got 5 years on me?
5 years.
Okay.
5 years. And I what I would say is like you're a very there's a very genuine side of you. I don't know who you grew up like did you get raised by your mom?
For the most part, I mean, Dad was around, but busy surviving. Busy working.
So I can tell you were raised well. I can tell that you have a lot of people that pray for you. I can tell that you are very blessed. you're the type of guy that like no matter what happens to you, you always know there's going to be a way out.
Mm-hmm.
You are a very blessed person, and you have a lot of grace over your life. And so there's things that other people go through that they just don't have the grace you have, the personality, the charisma you have.
Yeah.
They just don't have your grace. And there's a lot of people that don't like you for that because you have gifts and a grace that doesn't make sense. It's like, why does this guy get everything? He seems like even if you mess up, you still find your way on the right side of stuff. It's just how you have a grace over your life. It's just what it is. So what I would say is like my best advice for you would just to continue to like just have an open mind and an open heart to learn every aspect of your life. Because my thing is like if you're going to succeed truly in life, and I think there has to be a balance of like your finances, which sounds like you're doing well. Obviously, you want to keep doing that. You get your finances, you get your marriage and your family. You got all these different buckets. Your other family, like your parents, your siblings, whatever else. You got to balance that, and then you got to balance like the spiritual side, because I think that's an element of it that if you just leave it, if you don't tend to it, it's like a garden that produces weeds. And when the weeds get too tall, at a certain point, it becomes very, very, very difficult to cut them down. The Bible talks about people's heart turning into stone after a point, because enough times you just get hardened by the world, and you don't care, you don't want to receive new information. And we know that because you think about people that are 40s, 50s, 60 years old, and what do we always say about sometimes older people? It's like it's hard to teach hard to teach an old dog new tricks.
Yep.
There's principles behind that, because once you get older, you kind of get grounded in like, this is who I'm going to be. I'm not really going to change it. But the youth, right? Like when we're young, this is when we can really start to figure stuff out. So I think you're just on a really good journey, man. I would just tell you to keep going. And just lean into that. Yeah. And just try to keep searching, man. Keep learning. Just never think that you have it all figured out.
Oh yeah.
Which it sounds like you have a very humble attitude. Yeah. Like you're down to like learn.
Yeah.
And I have that same like mindset. I'm like, dude, I'm learning from you. Like I'm looking at your guys' office. It's sick. You guys seem like you got a lot going on. So I'm like, I just want to see what's working for other people too. Like what makes you tick, what makes you good. And if you just keep doing that, like you're on the right track. But as far as advice, I would just say keep doing what you're doing and just plug in. Yeah. I think it's important to have like mentors in different categories. Okay. So I have like a spiritual mentor. He helps me with my spiritual journey. I have a like physical mentor. Somebody helps me with my gym stuff. Like my personal trainer, could be a buddy, whatever. But like somebody to hold you accountable. That like all the elements have a mentor or a coach aside to those things that are really important to you. Because if you try to just like do a lot of these journeys on your own, we just talked about it, you might be successful because you're gifted and you have a grace, but you're going to be limited because there's other people that have a gift that are coaches in that area. So like my spiritual mentor has massively helped me in my journey to understanding who God is and who I am, who I'm supposed to be, my identity, my true identity, which is so much more powerful than anything the world could tell me, anything that money could give me. And it's just massively powerful. And now I'm like, I still want nice things. I still like nice stuff. I want, rollies and nice cars. There's nothing wrong with any of that stuff. You work for it. That's part of why not? Yeah. But I don't want my identity to be around that stuff. Yeah. That's it. If your identity is tied in the Lamborghini, problem. If your identity is not tied in the Lamborghini and you get a Lamborghini, it's just a toy. It's just an expensive toy. It's just a number in a bank. It's no different than somebody affording a Honda. It's the same. Yeah. You just have more money, and so you're buying a more expensive car. It's not about, because your identity's not tied into it. Yeah. So I would just challenge you to really, I would challenge yourself to be like, okay, what am I actually putting my faith or identity in? Like if I put my faith in my business, that means that I believe that if my business does well, that I'm also going to do well. If I don't have my faith in my business, my identity's in other stuff. If my business, whether I hit storms, whether it goes good or bad, I'm not going to waver. Yeah. And that's the problem. I mean, you see how many business people, they lose everything and they kill themselves. Yeah. Their identity was in their business.
I feel like I believe that now, where it's like I could have gave up after this last really bad business failed. Yeah. But I was just like, I don't know. So I'm just like, I'm not quitting. I'm just going to keep going.
Which is cool. So it means like your identity already is not in like your,
I'm not throwing in the towel.
Yeah. You're just going to keep going. And you're a fighter, dude. Yeah. You're going to keep going. So like, dude, I just think I see big things for you. You're on a massive journey.
Thank you. We're going to have to keep in touch. I like this conversation.
Yeah,
man.
It's fun.
It's good.
And it's just two guys just talking about stuff and hanging out.
And where can people find you? Anything you want to close out with, man?
So, if you want to follow me, it's Mike Drop 101 And then we're going to be starting a podcast. I guess I could call it. We're going to call it No Soliciting.
No soliciting.
The No Soliciting podcast.
Okay.
Because every person in business and sales life is going to hear no soliciting. And so that's going to be like and there's so many like meanings behind it. But go follow. Yeah, start watching us on No Soliciting podcast, and follow me on Mic Drop 101.
Perfect. Thanks for coming on, man. Appreciate you.
I appreciate you.